Hello and welcome to Speak Your Brains on Guitars Are Hard with me, Darren White. You know, often people come up to me and say, "Hey Darren, should I learn guitar?" And I answer them with this question: who are you and what the hell are you doing in my house? But now we'll try and answer this and other questions. So, should you try and learn guitar? Is it good for your brain? Well, I've mentioned plasticity to begin with, but also it can carry over into other areas because your brain borrows from lots of different portions of your brain for lots of different things. So I've often heard it said that it helps you think, be a clearer thinker, and it helps in other areas of life. Apparently it can help you be more empathetic, because when they put guitar players in functional MRI scanners, you know, the big tubes you go into and scan your brain, the parts of your brain that deal with empathy are lit up more, they're more in use when you're playing something you know well. So when you don't know it, and you're trying to sort of figure your way through it, and you're like, oh God, what's next? Something like that. That's the conscious part of your brain, rather like learning to drive a car was difficult till it became automatic to you. But once you've got it and you're trying to work out the sort of nuances and do something that's really quite sort of pretty, then it's much more the sort of empathetic parts of your brain that take over. And I've often heard that people synchronise this, which is why they talk about groups having good chemistry together, because they've kind of synced up that empathetic part of their brain, sort of thing. A good example of this is when children learn guitar at school. It's very common that they'll see improvements in other areas like mathematics, but I think that's common with most musical instruments, and we can't just claim it's the guitar. But musical instruments can work well on a child's development. So how long does it take to learn guitar? Depends on what you want to learn. Sort of simply strumming guitar can take a few months if all you want to do is sort of it can be sort of 6 months beyond that to get to the point where you can play and learn solos. It can be 18 months beyond that. It could be 18 months in total, sorry, before you can transpose and find your way around and learn things by ear. So yeah, it's a commitment and it takes time, but then nothing worthwhile is ever easy. It'd probably take even more if you're learning to play music, which a lot of guitarists don't bother with. They learn tab or they learn by ear, or whatever. People often ask which is the easiest, guitar or piano. I don't play keyboards, so I've got no idea. But there's all sorts of things we can do that that they can't. So you heard before an example of a bend. You get this vibrato. Pianists can't do that. All sorts of things like hammer-ons, etc., that they can't really do. People ask me, is it talent? Well, rather like fortune favours the brave, and rather like people who work hard get really lucky, I think your talent increases with your practice, and with your skills. So I know people that look really great and you think, wow, they're so talented, I could never do that. But you weren't there when they were putting in hours and hours of practice. The other question is, should you learn on acoustic? Or should you learn on an electric? Certainly back in the day when I was a kid, everyone got an acoustic, learnt on that, and then moved to an electric guitar. But knowing what I know now, I actually think it's easier to learn on an electric. One, because everything's much more recognisable. I play mostly on guitars with lots of gain and distortion. You don't need to press so hard. Certainly this guitar sounds lovely, but it's got great big steel strings on it to get that. Sometimes people find their way around that by getting a nylon string guitar, which allegedly are mostly for picking, but they are easier to strum and play on. Maybe that's an option. So yeah, you can play more sort of recognisable things. Because you don't press so hard with an electric, and sometimes one of the mistakes people make with electrics is they practice them without them being plugged in. Well, you have to press harder and plug harder to get sound, so it's not really helping you with your sort of finer technique later. I mean, it depends what type of music you're into, doesn't it, really? If you want to be the next Ed Sheeran, then acoustic's the one for you, the one to go to. But if you want to play rock or alternative, or you know, grunge or metal, then obviously you're not really going to get that out of an acoustic. People ask what type of guitar you should get first. Well, I've always had acoustics, so this acoustic isn't a big massive dreadnought, because that was just too big for me. So the thing to do is to go and try them, really. And your first guitar won't be your last guitar, that's another thing, unless you're spending thousands on it to begin with. So go see what feels right, what feels comfortable, because you can always upgrade them later. But I think a Strat's a good all-rounder, or a Strat copy. There's plenty of really good ones out there. And an acoustic that you're comfortable with, just to get you on the road, maybe. But you really don't have to start with this at all. So can you teach yourself guitar? I think you can. I think you can get books, and these days the internet, it's difficult to know which internet courses are good. Stick around this channel, because I'm going to try one or two and give you feedback and let you know what they're like. I think it might take longer, but then do you want to pay for a tutor? I mean, you've got someone there to tell you to move on, to speed you up, someone that you do your homework for. But it's a difficult one. So it's whether you've got the money, whether you want to do that. There's plenty of great free tutors online, plenty of tips online as well, and on YouTube. People say it takes longer. Maybe it does, but then you can learn at your own pace. It's down to you what you learn, how quickly you learn. You might not know the best way of practicing, so you might have to look all those sorts of things up, because it can take a while. That's enough for now. Thank you for listening and for watching, and sorry for all the times where I made mistakes. As always, thanks for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this, hope you've got something out of this. Join me next time. If you like the channel, please like this, please subscribe to the channel. Yeah, thanks ever so much. Bye now.